Welcome to the Family Law Channel. Police are encountering more domestic violence related to the sluggish economy. That's according to a national survey of law enforcement agencies. My guest is host of the Family Law Channel here on the Legal Broadcast Network, retired Superior Court Judge in Santa Clara, California, Eugene M. Hyman. Judge Hyman, welcome back.
Thank you very much.
So you kind of disagree with the findings here, really in one sense, saying that the cause of domestic violence is certainly not economic conditions, but it is a contributing factor.
No, absolutely. The cause of domestic violence is a desire by batterers to control their victims with violence and psychological coercion. They use many excuses. They use the excuse of being intoxicated, using drugs, the fact that they don't have a job, and all of those factors are in fact related, but it's not the cause. And it's important to understand that the cause of domestic violence is a desire to control the behavior of another by the use of violence and psychological coercion, and not by those other factors.
So then it would be logical that police would say that they are encountering an increase in domestic violence, and that those who would be predisposed to it might be more inclined to commit it if they were stressed out by economic conditions and some of the other factors that you talked about.
Yes, that's true, and they also are inclined, the batterers, are also inclined to use it as a factor, saying, I lost my job. You could be trying harder to do this, or you could be trying harder to do that, and as a result, whether they are or aren't, use that as an excuse for domestic violence. And I'm unemployed, and therefore I drink more. I'm unemployed, and therefore I use drugs more. And those are excuses. Now, they're co-occurring in the sense that when you have an incidence of substance abuse, or when a person is unemployed, there have been studies by Jacqueline Campbell that indicate that a person who is substance abusing, or a person who is unemployed, amongst other factors, there is a higher risk for homicide. But those factors don't cause homicide. Another factor to be considered is the fact that when there are bad economic or hard economic times, persons providing intervention services for victims have fewer resources.
Right.
So as a result, during difficult economic times, victims of domestic violence can't leave their batterers. So they're more likely to be present. And if they're more likely to be present, they're more likely to be assaulted, and worst case scenario, to be murdered. Now, the other concern that I have is that police departments are trying to indicate that hard economic times are also responsible for domestic violence, because as a result of hard economic times, the police, have fewer resources. And as a result, they can't respond, they can't do the prevention activities that perhaps they have been doing, because those resources have been restricted or curtailed as well. And the end result is that, from their standpoint, that these things are responsible for an increase in domestic violence as well. But the bottom line is that if police departments were fully funded, that wouldn't necessarily reduce the circumstances of domestic violence.
Now, what kinds of things do the police agencies do to reduce domestic violence? Because I would guess that really the only meaningful way is to identify potential people who would have that inclination and get them into some sort of a program, or make things available to them. And you're saying that police agencies are having trouble doing that right now.
Well, they are, because and this is true of district attorneys' offices, and this is also true of advocacy agencies, because what police departments try to do, and district attorneys and advocates, is that when a person has been a victim of domestic violence and the criminal prosecutions are being instituted, is that they try to provide support services. By providing support services, the victim is more likely to participate in the system. If they aren't providing support services, then the victim is more likely to go back to the perpetrator, because she has to.
Right.
She's not receiving temporary residence. She's not receiving food stamps. She's not receiving assistance in terms of child support, those kinds of things. So if those kinds of things are not being supplied, then she's got no choice or little choice, absent support from family and friends, to continue to live with a batterer, and by doing that, she's more likely to be in harm's way and more likely to be available to be battered.
Well, again, we appreciate you taking the time and sharing your expertise with us again, Judge Hyman.
Thank you very much.
And this has been the Family Law Channel, an affiliate of the Legal Broadcast Network. Thanks for watching.